Noon report with me, Pugs Moran. We do this each and every day. Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me get everything going here. Before I get into my patter. Hold on, folks. Hold on. All right. Ready? Take two. Here, we'll do it like this. Welcome into the High Noon Report. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday from noon till, well, whenever the headlines run out. Oh, speaking of which, hold on to that thought. Actually, no, we can do two things at once. Here's what we do. We go through all the day's headlines, hot topics, current events, trends, anything that people are buzzing about. We've got a chat room. We want you to come on into the chat room, make yourself comfortable. It's a pretty nice place. People, stab at each other every now and again, but, please maintain a certain level of decorum when in the High Noon chat room. So we'll get to all the issues. We'll get to all the topics, the trends, and all that stuff. There are a couple of things that are happening right now live that I'm kind of distracted by. So if I seem like a little all over the place right here at the beginning, it's because I'm trying to figure out what to talk about first. Before, however, and most of you old timers around here know, we don't go right into the hot topics and the current events unless there is something that supersedes all that. If there's something like big that's going on, then we will. But we like to do a segment we call Erstwhile on This Day to start things off. Erstwhile on This Day. Or maybe you're more comfortable with previously on. That's where we take a look back at the events that have shaped this day throughout history. After we do that, then we go through birthdays, and then we go through some people who've died. We talk about their lives, and we decide now it's a new segment. It used to be, do we care that they're dead? Because, look, everybody dies. Oh, geez, it only took CNN about a minute today.
Helping him get processed in this case, trying to find a lawyer who will help him.
Sorry about that. Smart TVs, they're terrible. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So we used to take the people who died on this day and go, do we care that they died? Because there's a lot of a-holes out there and everybody dies. So a-holes die every day. And I'm just sick and tired of every time somebody dies, people going, it was so wonderful. And that's actually not true. I'm old enough now to know that in my actual life, a-holes have died plenty of times. And I can't join the chorus of, it was such a wonderful man. No, he really wasn't. He was actually quite terrible. So we used to do that. We used to decide, do we care? Do we care that this person of note died on this day? But I always felt uncomfortable with that because, even it doesn't matter. It's still somebody loves somebody. There's no dancing on people's graves. I just always, you've been watching the evolution of that segment. I've been uncomfortable with that. I've been hedging it up. So heaven and hell. It's a much more easily digestible way of sizing up people who've died on this day. So yes, I am now fully committed to the new segment, Heaven or Hell, people who died on this day. All right, after we do that, the events, the births, and the Heaven or Hell, then we move into the hot topics. Now, on that, give me a second here. I have been following a story all morning, and I got pulled away from it about a half hour ago. So I do not know. Let me just do a quick update on this. Oh, I had the police scanners going. Oh, it was fascinating. There was a situation going on in Pittsburgh this morning, and I'm not sure if it's still going on. Okay. All right. Maybe it's not because... I'm trying to find the latest update. All right. No. Okay. So it's still going on. All right. So we will cover that story in the hot topics, the Pittsburgh story. There's a shootout going on in Pittsburgh. It's going on all morning. And I thought for sure it's going to end any minute, but it didn't. All right. The High Noon Report. I am Pugs Moran. Let's get started. What do you say? It is the 23rd day of August, year of our Lord, 2023. That's right. It's 8/23/23. August the 23rd is the 235th day of the year. Fun fact, 130 of these remaining until New Year's Eve. So get those New Year's Eve plans. You know the rest. Let's do a little segment that I like to call on this show Erstwhile on This Day. Oh, you know why I was distracted? Because, hold on. Got to do this. I want to do this at the start of the show too, just to make sure that all bases are covered. Tips. Yeah, I'm going to mention the tips. Boom, there you go. The show on your tips. If you appreciate this kind of radio, non-political, non-divisive, current events talk, drop a little something in the Cash App or whatever you can. Every day I'm going to be talking about the people who are, let's see, it was the 21st. Who tipped yesterday? Who did we get a tip from yesterday? We got a tip from Terry. Terry gave us a tip yesterday, so this show is produced by Terry. Thank you, Terry. And you know what? There was another one. There was one other one. And where is it? Because people need to be thanked. You can tip the show. You can go to either Venmo or the Cash App link that's right there. Please, tip away. Okay, hold on. I saw that there were two. See, I don't like to focus on them because they make me, they make me feel ooky. But also really proud that you guys have kept the show on the air for 2 years now. Just with your, just every now and again, you just drop a little tip. I appreciate that. Hold on, we'll do it this way. Hold on. I don't know how to do this. That's it. It's Terry and Christina. I am so sorry. And Christina and Terry, both regular producers of this show. So this show is being produced by Terry and Christina. Thank you for your tips yesterday. That's how we get these shows going. All right, let's move forward. Let's get into what today is. Let's talk about erstwhile on this day, things that occurred on this day throughout history, things that may help us predict what we are going to be incurring in the coming hours. We call it erstwhile on this day, but maybe you're more comfortable with previously on August the 23rd. On this day in 30 BC, yeah, we're going way back. After the successful invasion of Egypt, all right? Egypt was invaded in 30 BC. After the successful invasion of Egypt, Octavian executes Marcus Antonius Antilius, the eldest son of Mark Antony. All right, so Octavian crashes Egypt, kills Mark Antony's kid, his son, and then kills Caesarion. Yeah, that's the big one. That's the big one. Why did they kill? Well, who was Caesarion? Caesarion was the son, the oldest, the child, the only child. Excuse me, the only child of Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. And do you think Octavian was a little bit worried about, I don't know, a grown-up Caesarion maybe raising an army of his mother's followers and people in Rome still loyal to Caesar? Oh, yeah, that kid had to go. So he went on this day. Caesarion had lived, man. Wouldn't that have been interesting? The Roman Empire might not have been the Roman Empire for much longer. On this day in 30 BC, Caesarion is killed by Octavian forces as they invade Egypt. On this day in 1979, I said 79. On this day in 79, Mount Vesuvius begins stirring. On the feast day of Vulcan, the Roman god of fire. BS. No, that is so, because what they're trying to say here is, on the day that they were honoring the Roman god of fire, Vesuvius began to stir. That's some 79. It happened in 79. Nobody knows. That just made for a good little story at some point. And now it's history. It didn't occur on that day. Maybe that is the day, but it was after the fact, I'm guessing, that day was actually recorded in history as the first time being celebrated. So stop it. Stop it. On this day in 1305, Sir William Wallace is executed for high treason at Smithfield, London. Braveheart. Did you guys see Braveheart? Of course you did. Everybody saw Braveheart. Well, actually, that's not true. Everybody has not seen Braveheart. My son hasn't seen Braveheart. My son, we started to watch Braveheart, and he was like just... So I sold my son the idea of Braveheart as being a story of, Ireland, because I wanted him to watch it because it's a cool movie. And I figured by the time he figured out it was Scotland, he'd be into the story. Well, that didn't happen. We got like 20 minutes in and he's like, I thought you said this was about Ireland. I go, it's about Scotland, but there's a really cool Irish guy character who comes in about an hour, and he's like sort of this battle guy, and he's funny. Nah, wasn't enough for him. But William Wallace, the scene where he's getting executed, he's getting his head cut off. That happened on this day in 1305. On this day in 1775, the American Revolutionary War, King George III delivers his proclamation of rebellion to the court of St. James. This is the day that the King of England went, all right, let's crush these little bugs. Yeah, how'd that work out? Crazy ass King George. Yeah, he was a little nuts. On this day in 1966, that's right, folks, absolutely nothing occurred on this great big blue marble between 1775 and 1966. On this day in 1966, Lunar Orbiter 1 takes the first photograph of Earth from orbit around the moon. Terrible picture, too. It's a terrible picture. It's grainy. It's black and white. It's not that big blue marble picture that I just oddly referenced, didn't I? I did. The big blue marble. The big blue marble is the picture of the Earth that hung in every classroom in the 1970s. And you probably thought, that is probably a million. No, that's one picture taken from, I think it was Apollo. Please don't. I don't know which one. I don't know, but that's not this picture. This was the first actual picture, and it sucked. It was like all grainy. Yeah. On this day in 1990, Saddam Hussein appears on Iraqi state television with a number of Western guests who are actually hostages. This in an attempt to try and prevent the Gulf War. I remember this. Do you remember this? We didn't really know Saddam back then. We'd heard tell of tale, of course. Saddam was making trouble, but he wasn't really front center. Like, we hate that guy. We were still focused on the Russians, I think, at this point. The Soviets. Maybe the Japanese. I think we didn't like the Japanese still in the 90s. Remember in the 80s when every bad guy in a movie was a Japanese businessman? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The movies create perceptions that we then adopt as facts. Yeah. Who am I telling, right? So it was on this day that Saddam Hussein went on, world TV. He basically went out, and he was sitting at his desk, and we see him at his desk like, well, I'm just a happy dictator. And he was surrounded by all these people who were like from, Ohio or whatever. They're just these, and he brought them all in and he put them behind him. And it was like a mafia shakedown. It was like, these are my friends. It would be a shame if something happened to them. It's crazy. On this day in 1990, also on this day in 1990, West and East Germany announced that they will reunite. A lot was going on around 1990. On this day in 1991, okay, so let me take a step here because, and I apologize for my voice. It's going in and out all summer because of this air conditioning thing. Ugh. Air conditioning wreaks havoc with my voice. It dries it out and on this day, guys, and it didn't even make the news, because one thing that we know about our news media is that they don't recognize game-changing events. They just go with whatever is the most titillating in the moment. They don't, when the DNA thing happened, when they did that thing when the smart people, see, look at me, I'm an idiot. When the smart people got together and did that thing with the smart stuff with the DNA, that was like page 20 of the news. It should have been front page. So when this occurred on this day, nobody probably even noticed. It was on this day in 1991 that the World Wide Web was opened to the public. It's what we're doing right here. It's what we do every day. The World Wide Web on this day, 1991. We just talked about a year earlier in 1990 when Saddam Hussein brought all of those hostages. None of them were tweeting. None of them had Facebook pages that they were giving updates from while they were in captivity. No. Crazy. On this day, think about that. On this day in 1990, think of what a significant day this was in 1991. And in 1991, it wasn't even news. I guess that's how it works. But my God, What a significant day in history. On this day in 1991, www was allowed for public use. It was open to the public hey, people, here you go. Here's a new thing. You're probably not going to do anything with it, but if you do, awesome. On this day in 2011, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi is overthrown after the National Transitional Council forces take control of Baba al-Azizia. Can't believe I pronounced all those things fairly confidently. This during the Libyan civil war. I don't know if this is the day that they killed him by sodomy. That's how he was killed. He was killed by sodomy. Oh, yeah. Saddamicide. Whoa, wait a second. Is that what it'd be called? I don't know. I don't even know if that's a word, Saddamicide, but that sounds like something that would be very appropriate for, the other guy, Saddam Hussein. Well, I'm not sure how he died either. How did Saddam Hussein die? They hung him, right? Then wasn't he executed by hanging, Saddam Hussein? Osama bin Laden was shot. Gaddafi was sodomized to death. All right, I don't know if that was on this day, but it was on this day that he was overthrown from power. I think maybe he went on the run for a couple of days. All right, here's another very significant thing. This happened a couple of hours ago, which is, and it's already making notes for, significant historical events on this day. On this day, just a couple of hours ago, 2023, Chandrayaan-3 mission, the Chandrayaan-3 mission initiated its first moon landing in Indian history. All right, the Indians, it is an Indian moon. It was on this day in 2020, on this day a couple hours ago. That's pretty cool, man, because, just a couple of days, it shows what's going on between India and Russia, whose space program is better. Well, just a couple of days ago, Russia smashed theirs. They smashed theirs right, and they crash landed into the planet. Today, a couple of days later, India drops theirs on the moon. And by the way, this isn't just significant for the Indian nation as a whole, as it being the first time that they've done this. This is significant for the globe, because they've not only done something that other people have done before, which is landed on the moon, but they landed on the south pole of the moon. Nobody has ever been able to reach the south pole of the moon with a lunar lander. We went with the easiest. Sea of Tranquility was our, base, was our first place. That was the easiest, where the odds were the best that they could pull it off. The Indians have now landed on the south pole of the moon. The Indians, incidentally, a couple of years ago crashed on the south pole of the moon. So they've been trying this particular move for a while, and they finally did it on this day. Congratulations. Let's talk about some birthdays. Buona, buona, buona. These people have birthdays. Buona, buona, buona. Maybe you do too. I don't have the rights to music, so I sing stuff. You'll get used to it. It's just kind of something I do. On this day, born in 1754, King Louis the 16th of France, otherwise known as Louis the Last. Yeah, the last king of France, King Louis. He got his head chopped off. Didn't he get it in the guillotine? I'm not entirely sure. King Louis the 16th is an interesting guy because he started out a good king. He started out a popular king. He started out, and it was Mother Nature that kind of created the whole problem for him. King Louis came into power and he eliminated the slave trades that were happening in French waters. He freed the serfs, or didn't free the serfs, but he eliminated the process of serfdom. What else did he do? He made it safe in France for non-Catholics, because up until this point, if you were non-Catholic and you were in France, you could be arrested for not being Catholic. So tolerance, all of these, education, he built school. He was a popular guy, as far as kings go. He was still King Louis the 16th, probably a total D-bag, but you know what I mean? I mean, he did things that were really popular. And then he moved on to the economic side of things. And what he did was he engaged in something very similar to what we call today, whether it's termed supply side economics or trickle down theory, but he basically instituted that. He deregulated the grain industry in France, which was it's how they fed themselves. And in deregulating the grain industry, he was attempting to spur business, except there was like a bad crop and all the grain went bad. So because it was deregulated, it was in private hands, and the price of bread went through the roof and nobody could eat. So all these people got hungry and they rose up against the monarchy, and that's how you had the French Revolution. So Wasn't necessarily anything. History now says it's not necessarily anything. Now, look, it didn't help with Marie going, let them eat cake. And whether or not she ever really said that, I'm not sure. Actually, I think I am sure. I think she never said that. I think I am sure that she never said that. I think that was a parody. There was a newspaper in Paris at the time that was similar to what the Onion is now. It's not real. It was a satirical paper. And that was something that they printed. In the rest of Europe, who was on a very big anti-monarchy kick, they basically spread that as actual news. Same way you see people you see people on Facebook today. They'll see a story that is absolute nonsense, but it's being shared. I talked about it yesterday by one of these phony newspapers that looks like a real newspaper, but people don't know if something's a real newspaper. They don't check the masthead. Normal people don't do that. So suddenly your aunt is telling you that, Alec Baldwin killed 10 people in New Mexico because she read it in a newspaper, and she can email you the newspaper. That's the same thing. Same thing with let them eat cake. She never said that, but that stirred up people all across Europe who were the monarchies were having problems in Europe, as you know. So that's how Louis XVI fell. Anyway, born on this day. You had a good run, kid. You were king. Yeah, that can't be bad. Born on this day in 1754. Born on this day in 1931. That's right. Nobody was born for hundreds of years until the good Lord bestowed upon us Barbara Eden. Barbara Eden, you don't know Barbara Eden. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're too young. Barbara Eden is Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie. When was she born? She was born in 1931. Jeez Louise, man. She is old. Still hanging in there. Good for you, Bernie. Barbara. Jeannie. I combine Jeannie and Barbara. Born on this day in 1936, someone we could all have done without. Henry Lee Lucas, American murderer. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. You ever seen that movie? Freaky movie. Born on this day in 1945. One of the good ones. God, that was terrible. That has a double meaning. What I meant. I say dudes. Never mind. We're going to move on. We're going to move on from that one. That was like, I meant like a dude, but in this context, it didn't work. In this context, it could be misconstrued. And the only way for me to just avoid that whole thing is just move on. Okay. So we're going to move on. Born on this day in 1949. Maybe later I'll wish this person a happy birthday. Let me write that down. I need to wish this person just a random happy birthday later, because one of the good ones, that used to be used by my grandpa. That's not how I meant it. And yet now I can't say it because I'm not going to give it to you. Not going to do it. Not going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you on video so that, somebody can go, look what he said. I'm not going to give it to you. All right. Born on this day in 1949. How about this one? Shelley Long, Diane Chambers from Cheers. I always talk about this because she was a Chicago actress and model, and for years, like a good decade, you guys remember, for like a good decade before she was Diane on Cheers, she was the Homemakers girl. And who's the Homemakers girl? Homemakers girl sold Homemakers furniture. Homemakers was a chain of furniture stores in the Chicagoland area. And they bought a lot of television commercials. And she was on Chicago TV relentlessly. Yeah, let me show you. I'll show you an example. I mean, it was relentless. So she was, when the rest of the country saw Diane Chambers for the first time, they were like, who's this new young actress? And everybody in Chicago was like, oh, man, it's Shelley Long. Here you go. Hey, look at this. This is what I grew up with. Happy birthday to Shelley Long. I always liked Shelley Long. I even liked her, but she was really cute. Oh, another fun thing here. So when they replaced her, because she went off to do Cheers, everybody thought they fired her because there was like this 1 year period between like Homemakers commercials with Shelley Long and the debut of Cheers. And she had left the Homemakers people, and now she was going to be a big star. And everybody got really mad. Like, what happened to the Homemakers girl? Because they replaced her with somebody else. You don't do that. Here you go. Here's our girl Shelley Long. When I was like 5 years old, having my first little crush.
You never noticed, but Homemakers doesn't have furniture sales. The reason is we can't. Our everyday prices are so low we simply can't reduce them. But check for yourself. Check Homemakers prices against special sale prices at any other store and see if our everyday prices aren't as low or lower. And remember, it's not low-price furniture. It's good furniture at low prices.
Everybody wanted to make out with her on that couch. Every guy was like, yeah, man, I'd like to start making
Every
out
day.
with her.
Homemakers, Woodfield, Downers Grove, Orland Square, and North Avenue.
Orland Square, that was my mall. All right, there you have it. Happy birthday, Shelley Long. Shelley Long. I did not enjoy Rebecca. I didn't like when Shelley Long left. I was like, you know what? Nope. I don't think I'm going to like this show anymore. I mean, I still did. I just didn't like Rebecca. Born on this day in 1949, Shelley Long. Also born on this day in 1949. How about Rick Springfield? You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. That's a good looking man. That's a good looking. Here's the thing about Rick Springfield that you got to admire or hate. It depends. When I was younger, I hated this. But now I'm like, yeah, you got to admire it. Rick Springfield is handsome, smart. He's a bright guy. He's a really bright guy. If you've ever heard him in interviews and stuff, he's not an idiot. Smart, not an idiot, super talented. Did you guys know this about Rick Springfield? Do you know that Rick Springfield came to America not as an actor? Because everyone knows he was Blackie on General Hospital. He didn't come to America as an actor. He came to America as an incredibly sought-after studio musician. He was a guitar player in Australia that was blowing people's minds. So they brought him to Los Angeles. And he started doing guitar session work. And when he was in Los Angeles, they're like, hey, you're kind of handsome too. Can you act? And he's like, I don't know. And so he started acting. And then, of course, after he became famous on General Hospital as Blackie, was that his name? Or was that John Stamos? Wasn't John Stamos Blackie? I don't know. Who was Rick Springfield? I'm not sure. Anyway, after he became famous on General Hospital, Rick Springfield was like, hey, you know, I'm actually a musician. I would love a shot to be a musician. So he had Jesse's Girl, and it became like a massive hit. And unfortunately for Rick Springfield and the perception of him after that, he was just a one-hit wonder soap opera guy who had a hit song. It's too bad. It's too bad because you have to wonder if Rick Springfield had just emerged as a musical artist on his own, I wonder if it would have been different. I wonder if Jesse's Girl would have sounded different, you know, because you got to imagine he was doing what the producers and the record companies, what they said. So the production on Jesse's Girl, and I wonder, you know what I mean? I wonder what that, I don't know. Anyway, Rick Springfield, I kind of like Rick Springfield. I kind of like him. He's got an Australian accent. I mean, he's from Australia. Anyway, that's another thing. That was the other thing. I'm like, he's handsome. He's got foreign accents, so American girls are going to like him. And it's not one of those scary foreign accents. It's one of the friendly foreign accents. What are the friendly foreign accents, you ask? Okay, I'm glad you did. English, Scottish, Irish, Australian. That's it. Those are the friendly English accents. Everything else is like, what is that? Where are you from? Montenegro? What are they about there? I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? All right. He had one of the good ones. One of the good ones that works in bars. That's what I'm saying. Really, that's what I mean. I shouldn't say one of the good accents. I should say an accent that works in a bar on a girl. You're not going to take a girl home from a bar at 2:00 if you adopt the Serbian accent. It's just, I don't know why that is, but if you do the English guy, you're going home. She's taking the English guy home. She's not taking the guy from Czechoslovakia. Okay? Unless you look like Rick Springfield, I guess. All right, born on this day in 1949, Rick Springfield. Born on this day in 1969, Jeremy Schaap. Who was the guy that said Dick Schaap is famously Jeremy Schaap's father? Jeremy Schaap, of course, ESPN. Well, really good reporter at ESPN. But Dick Schaap was his father. And there was when Jeremy was like younger, he was asking some really tough questions to somebody. And somebody said, you know, you're nothing like your father. And walked away from him. And Jeremy Schaap was like, that's the idea. I just thought, I don't know, I always liked Jeremy Schaap since then. But I don't know who it was that said that to him. Anyway, happy birthday, Jeremy Schaap of ESPN, American journalist and author. Born on this day in 1970, Jay Moore, American actor, producer, and screenwriter. Jay Moore is a D-bag. He is. Jay Moore used to come and tour through Dallas all the time. And those of you who know my old show, the Pugs and Kelly Show, we had all of our comedian friends on all the time. And we had Louis C.K. on 5 times. We had, we had these people on all the time because we loved them and we had good relationships with them. We had Jay Moore on once. And then every time he came through town, I was like, no. They're like, the Improv wants to bring Jay Moore by. And I'm like, no. He's a jerk. He's like kind of an a-hole. Bad energy, bad vibes, like a real pretentious, condescending, oh, who's this now? Like that kind of guy. And I'm like, nope, that doesn't work around here. He got to go. But happy birthday, Jay Moore, born on this day in 1970. Also born on this day in 1970. How about River Phoenix, the late River Phoenix? River Phoenix, young people don't even know, like, who's River Phoenix, right? Wow, River Phoenix was, it used to be that Joaquin Phoenix was River Phoenix's brother. Joaquin Phoenix was River Phoenix's little brother. And River Phoenix was a damn good young actor. Like, you know what DiCaprio became? That's like what River Phoenix was into. So that's a real waste. He died of an overdose, heroin, cocaine. I don't know what it was. He died a mixture of all of it. He died on an overdose in front of the Viper Room in Los Angeles. I've stood on the spot. It's a gross, tragic, sad story. The last 20 minutes of River Phoenix's life. It was, man, oh man. Okay, anyway, River Phoenix, born on this day in 1970, died in 1993. Born on this day in 1977. Here's a guy. Now, he's not a guy. Yeah, he's a guy. He's a guy because he's a human male. But he's not a guy. He's not like a Chris Christopherson, Chuck Norris guy. He's a Jared Fogle. Jared, oh my God. Jared, the subway pedophile. I watched a documentary recently on Jared. He was like a lot worse than I think I had ever thought. I mean, I thought, these guys, they get in trouble because they start downloading stuff, right? And keeping it on their computers, I guess. And then they share it. And it's like, once they share it, then it's like a conspiracy, and then it becomes like a whole thing. Anyway, I thought he was just caught up in that stuff. No, man, this dude was flying around having sex with kids. Jared Fogle, what a disgust! Falls from graces. I always say, I want to make a list. I want to make the definitive list of American falls from graces from 1970 in my lifetime. So it would be like 1970 to 2020. On that list, certainly somewhere near the top is Bill Cosby. O.J. Simpson is on. Jared Fogle is on that list too. Start thinking about it in the chat room. You guys, fall from graces. Great falls from graces. We've got O.J. We've got Bill Cosby, Jared Fogle. Like people who were just like, yeah. Oh, here's another one, Lance Armstrong. Ooh, yeah. I mean, not for something as gross and despicable, but still. Barry Bonds, right? Fall from grace. Sammy Sosa. We can do baseball. Okay, let's get out of sports. That's too easy. Now I'm naming sports guys. All right, I'm interested to see who you come up with in the chat room. Who else was born on this day? Born on this day in 1978, Kobe Bryant, of course, tragically dead on 23 years ago now. Kobe Bryant died. Kobe Bryant, born on this day in 1978. I'm trying to think of like what can be said about Kobe Bryant. I mean, he was terrific. He was great. I don't like helicopters. I'll say that. I'll throw that out there right now. I don't like helicopters. I've been in a few helicopters. Do not like them. Don't seem like they're real. Seem like a toy. They seem like a toy. That's my problem with helicopters. Let's see here. Born on this day in 1978, Julian Casablancas, lead singer of The Strokes. How about this one? Born on this day in 1988, Jeremy Lin, Linsanity. Remember when that guy was like a thing for 6 months? Born on this day in 1990, the other one. Yeah, that's unfortunately Seth Curry. Not Steph. I said Seth. Is he still on the Sixers? Seth Curry? Speaking of is he on the Sixers, I should just shut my mouth because celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1990, Mike Yastrzemski, and this is why I should shut my mouth, because yesterday in talking about his grandpa, Carl Yastrzemski, I referred to Mike Yastrzemski, and I said, yeah, whenever I watch him play in the outfield for the Angels, he's not an angel. I knew he wasn't an angel. I knew it was. I think maybe he used to be, but I knew when he said it, he's a West. I look at ball players and I put him on a coast. I knew he was on the West Coast. Okay, he's a giant. Happy birthday, Mike Yastrzemski. Your grandpa was cool. And born on this day in 1997, of course. Just like plane crashes seem to occur every day, and we don't mention them. There's another person celebrating a birthday named Lil. It's Lil Yachty's birthday. Lil Yachty. You know what that means? I want to do something. I want to do something here. I want to go to Google and I want to put Lil, and I want to see what Lils come up. Okay, Lil, there you go. Because I remember we were trying to think of who the origin of Lil was. Lil. A lot of hip hop guys are doing it. We're seeing it everywhere. And I think we traced it back to Lil Kim. Sorry, look at me, not even saying it right. So I want to do Lil. Here's what we got. We got Lil Debbie, not the snack cakes. There's apparently a hip hop artist named Lil Debbie. Lil Debbie, Lil Tay, Lil Baby, Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi Vert. Hold on, what else do we got? Give me more Lils. Hold on. Lil Baby. There, I'm looking at Lil Baby. Okay, anyway, it's Lil Yachty's birthday today. There's a lot of Lils out there. Happy birthday, Lil Yachty. Born on this day in 1997. Not a clue who he is. How about some deaths? A couple people we already mentioned on 30 BC. Two of them. Marcus Antonius Antilius. He was a Roman soldier and leader and son of Mark Antony. Dead on this day in 3030, as well as Caesarion. Caesarion, dead on this day in 3030. At the hands of Octavian, who didn't want Caesarion to grow up. Because again, as I said earlier, if Caesarion had grown up, his mother was Cleopatra and his father was Caesar. He'd have been able to raise armies in both Egypt and Rome and probably would have been unstoppable. So it was on this day that Caesarion, the child, was killed. Who else died? Oh, we talked about this one too. 1305, William Wallace, Braveheart. He died on this day in 1305. Dead on this day in 1926. Here's an interesting one we can talk about a little bit. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino is entirely forgotten, I believe, by modern filmophiles or whatever. I mean, I don't even know who he was, right? I was born 50-something years ago. I barely know who Rudolph Valentino was. But here's what I know. I know that he was important enough in his lifetime and in his body of work. And it was a very short lifetime. He only lived to be 31 years old. Rudolph Valentino was successful enough that his name became synonymous with something, right? Like I always use Tony Soprano. Tony Soprano in The Sopranos was always like this. Like he'd look over and he'd see Christopher writing, and Tony Soprano would go, "Oh, look at this. We got a Shakespeare over here." Right? Shakespeare was so successful in his time that hundreds of years. Well, that's what Valentino did. Valentino. Oh, what are you, a Valentino? I mean, that was a thing. Here's another thing. We've all heard the term Latin lover. Yeah, that's him. That's Valentino. Valentino was the Latin lover. The name was created for him. Yes, I know it's been used a million times. Everybody else has been a Latin lover type. Now it's a type or a genre even. But no, he was the original Latin lover. But he couldn't get none. He couldn't get none out on the streets. The streets were rough for him. He had a terrible personal life. He didn't really have a lot of girlfriends. He was kind of awkward, a bit of a weirdo. But he looked amazing in black and white with that makeup on screen, and women around the globe went nuts for him. Here, check this out. I know I said that he wasn't really... He died at 31 of a ruptured appendix. So... No, he died at 31 in 1926 of you know what we didn't do? We didn't do for Caesarion and Marcus Antonius and William Wallace. We didn't decide if they're going to heaven or hell or not. Let's just put them all in heaven. We'll do that. Valentino, let me read you this about Valentino's personal life. In 1919, Valentino impulsively married actress Jean Acker, who was involved with actresses Grace Darmond and Elena Nazimova. Man, I bet Elena Nazimova was hot back in 1919. That just sounds like a hot name in 2023. Okay, so are you following? Back in 1919, Valentino married a woman who brought along with her a lesbian threesome. 1919! Dude, your grandmas were doing stuff. I know you don't like to think about it. I know we like to pretend that, no, people didn't have sex until the 60s and the hippies. No. 1919. Rudolph Valentino briefly marries into a lesbian threesome. I mean, All right, let me read this to you. Just before the riot, Valentino impulsively married actress Jean Acker, who was involved with actresses Grace Diamond and Eliza Nazimova. Acker became involved with Valentino in large part to slowly remove herself from the lesbian love triangle. Valentino quickly regretted the marriage and She quickly regretted the marriage to Valentino, probably because she's a lesbian. She quickly regretted the marriage to Valentino and locked Valentino out of their room on their wedding night. The couple separated soon after, and the marriage was never consummated. The couple remained legally married until 1921 when Acker sued Valentino for divorce, citing desertion. She's the lesbian, citing desertion. Poor Valentino. And then he died. Anyway, heaven or hell for Valentino. He's going to heaven. He brought a lot of people happiness. Didn't seem like a bad guy. He was 31. And the final one here, dead on this day in 2003, Bobby Bonds. Bobby Bonds, he's going to heaven. I like Bobby Bonds. Bobby's Barry's dad. I don't know if Bobby ever used steroids or anything like that. The Clear or whatever it was. Bobby was a great player in his own right. All right, let's talk about what's happening in the world today. Let's get into the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, the trends, all the things that people are discussing. But before we do, let me remind you one last time that this show does run on your gratuity. So if you are so inclined at any point during today's show, drop a little something in the tip jar. Treat me like I'm your bartender. Treat me like I'm your pizza delivery guy. Whatever it is that makes it work for you and help this show continue. Once again, we do appreciate you. Hold on. This darn thing isn't working. I'm trying to pull that up. Okay. Christina P. and Terry are the executive producers of this show because they tipped during yesterday's show, and I do appreciate it. Every little bit counts. All right. Let's move forward here. The Pittsburgh situation. I was listening to this on the police scanner. Let's see if they're still doing it. Hold on. Police scanner. Where's my scanner? Hold on, guys. I had it pulled up earlier, so I know it's in here. There we go. All right, let's give a listen to this. This is in Pittsburgh, where there's been a standoff going on pretty much all morning long. A man who was being evicted just opened fire on the eviction. Who would that be? Marshals or something like that. I don't know where it stands right now. Let's see. Pittsburgh police. How many people we got listening? Okay, it's really dropped off. This doesn't seem like there's anything happening here.
3180 base.
All right, hold on. Let's listen.
180. Yeah, we've had numerous PM officers come in to assist. You can dispatch any zone 1 calls as they come in, and reports included as well. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Too many cops. Too many cops have come out to the scene. So they're telling you, like, hey, anybody else? We're good. We've had a bunch. Here you go. Okay, so this is out there. Apparently the dude.
3126.
Standoff at this point. The guy seems to have a lot of ammo. He's just firing.
Reichenbach, street officers, to the caller. They want to file a report for a burglary at an abandoned commercial building. I'm going to try another call back. I wasn't able to last time. 122. 1345.
There you have it. That's happening in Pittsburgh. It looks like the standoff is still going on. So,
About it, Brent, 1345.
turn it off. Why won't this turn off?
33.
There we go. Finally. Oh, God. The heat. Let's talk about the heat a little bit. It's hot here today. Oh, really? Is it? It's August in Texas. Are you hot, you big wuss? Let's see. The predicted high for today. This actually looks pretty good. This doesn't look too terrible. 103 degrees. I say that doesn't look too bad, not too terrible, because our friends in the Midwest, we need to get a temperature update from our boy Jeff Ballard there in the middle of Iowa. He's going to be taking a big beating today. They're going to 105 degrees, they're saying. From Iowa to Minneapolis to Chicago, 105 degrees. Now, let me tell you why you might think as a Texan, you're like, what? It's been 105 degrees for 3 months here. Why is that a problem? It's a problem because in those places, older buildings do not have AC. They don't have central air. A lot of people don't. Look, you live in that part of the country. Summers are absolutely gorgeous. They're not stiflingly hot. So when something like this happens, they're in Chicago specifically, in Milwaukee, in Minneapolis, in the bigger cities where there are concentrations of people, where grandma still lives in the same walk-up she's lived in for the last 60 years. People are going to die. People are going to die over the next couple of days. We know this. We know this is a thing because it's happened before when temperatures have gotten this high in these cities. Older people are going to drop dead. They're going to sit there. Nobody cares about them. Sorry to be so blunt, but do you know how many old people are alone? Do you know how many old people are just, and right now, I guess I'm trying to draw a picture of Chicago because this is where it's really bad. How many 92-year-old women who are just still hanging on? They got nobody. They haven't had anybody for 30 years. Got no air conditioning. They're toughing it out because they're tough old broads. Yeah, she's going to die. She'll be found dead. Somebody will complain about a smell, some neighbor. In a couple weeks, there's a smell. Check on your old people is what I'm saying. You don't have an old person that you ignore. And if you have an old person that you ignore, make sure that somebody else isn't ignoring them. Yeah? See? You don't have to get involved other than, just kind of make sure that somebody else is. If you don't want to. But, yeah, so heat. Let's look at these heat numbers. I guess we got some, is there a heat map here that we got? Let's see. Let's see what it's going to be. I don't like this. This is not a good one. Stupid heat map. All right, let's check this out. This isn't a good heat map, but it does show you what part of the country is in distress. See that? Okay. Hold on. No, not yet. Of course you don't see that. I'm an idiot. All right. So I don't know how close you can get to that. I can't make it any bigger, but you see that circle going around? It's like a circle of arrows in that red. The red is the danger zone. The circle of arrow is the real danger zone. Woo, man, look at that. That is going to take out the Chicagoland area. And it's moving. So, whatever it is for today, it's going to be a little bit further north and east tomorrow. Hundreds of records are in jeopardy amid the heat wave. All right. Where's that? I didn't check the chat room. Let's see, Jeff check in with a temperature currently 98 and been completely soaked in sweat since 7 a.m. Yeah, I bet, Jeff. I bet. Oh, and this is exactly the same situation. Like we are sitting here, like I am sitting here from my perch in Texas, and seeing my friends, and my Texas friends are probably going, what? I don't understand it. Why are they freaking out? Because it's 105 degrees. As I said, it's been 105 degrees for 90 days here. It's been 100. I killed for 105. It's the 110s I can't handle. Well, it's just like with snow. I remember when Texas got wiped out by the blizzard that knocked ERCOT offline and, people died and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Texans, you realize that was not a real snowstorm, right? You realize that was not a real blizzard to people in Buffalo and people in New York and people, where we get snow. So it's the same thing. We are just different regions of the country are better at the kind of weather that they're most accustomed to. I think that makes perfect sense. So keep a good thought for the people in the Midwest who aren't used to this, even if you are feeling a little bit arrogant about, come on, it's only 105. Rudy Giuliani is apparently right now in a Fulton County courthouse. Not a courtroom, notice I didn't say courtroom. Rudy Giuliani turned himself in on the Georgia election fraud indictment today. Giuliani's got a problem. It's an interesting interesting aspect to this. He apparently dragged along his buddy Bernie Carrick, who was the former superintendent or chief. I'm not entirely sure of what the terminology is there in New York for the big kahuna, but he was the boss, let's put it that way, of the New York City Police Department, Bernie Carrick. Bernie's a controversial figure. Bernie went to jail. Bernie's out now. Bernie's a pundit. Bernie's always been sort of Giuliani's right-hand guy. So Giuliani brought Bernie Carrick to represent him because Bernie's not a lawyer, and Giuliani doesn't have a lawyer. But Bernie is apparently there to help Rudy Giuliani get a lawyer. Now, why doesn't Rudy Giuliani have a lawyer? Nobody will represent him. Why won't they represent him? Because he owes millions and millions of dollars to other lawyers. And, it's just one of those scenarios where no good lawyer wants to be the last one owed money by Rudy Giuliani, right? If this is a loser, if you're a good lawyer, okay, and by the way, if you're a good lawyer, you don't need the attention. Who rises up in these moments? The lawyers who you can get to do anything. The lawyers who are nobodies, who are hoping that if they get put on Newsmax or Fox TV as a representative of this campaign or that campaign or this person or that person, they're hoping that it'll raise their attention. I'm talking about the Jenna Ellises of the world. She's not a real lawyer. She's not a good lawyer. She has no track record. It's just that she's been on TV now. So she bought them their TV lawyers. Those are the kinds of people that will step forward to represent Rudy Giuliani, because those are the people that'll do it for free, for the attention, to be able to stand on the courthouse steps and, my client, and do all that. But Rudy don't want that. You don't want that. I don't want that. Ain't nobody want that as an attorney. We want, especially if we're looking at something that a lot of people are saying is a serious case, you want a good lawyer. And Rudy can't get a good lawyer because he's burned all the good lawyers in America, apparently. That's a problem. So he's there. He has found somebody, according to reports from early this morning. Somebody has stepped up. Somebody who is a lawyer in Georgia has stepped up and will be in the room with Rudy Giuliani today. Not understanding exactly what is going to happen today, but he's turning himself. He's got to be turning. This has to be his arrest and booking because he only has till Friday. I mean, I suppose theoretically, he can be like, look, we're just here to negotiate the terms of my surrender. This is not my surrender. And then he goes home and spends a couple days in a hotel in Atlanta and then turns himself in Friday morning. I could just get it over with, man. I mean, two other co-defendants, co-conspirators, I guess is how it's termed in the indictment. Mark Meadows, the former White House chief of staff, and Jeffrey Clark, a former attorney, who are also indicted. They are also not in any hurry to turn themselves in to the prosecutors there in Georgia. Why? Because they say that their work, when they did these things they're accused of, was under the guise of the federal government, and therefore they cannot be held responsible by a state prosecutor and must answer to these charges only in front of a federal judge. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm not a lawyer, and neither are you. So just stop tweeting about it. Stop tweeting about, well, according to precedent, you saw something written somewhere. You thought it sounded smart, so you lifted it, and now you're saying it in an argument. How about just shut up instead of just thoughtlessly repeating somebody else's propaganda? And that's what it is at this point, propaganda, because you're not a lawyer, and you don't know if that stuff's real. You just think it sounds real, so now you're putting it out there, and a whole bunch of more dummies are going, no, that's not how it works, because come on, stop it. We don't know anything about this. This is very complicated. This is legal maneuvering by a bunch of fancy lawyers. I don't know anything about this. I don't know if that's right or wrong. That totally makes sense. Makes sense to you? You drive a truck for a living. That's okay. That makes sense. Now, look, if this was about truck driving, I would come to you. But this is about like really complex rules of law and how they pertain to federal versus local jurisdictions. I don't think you know what you're talking about. So shut up. Shut up and just let it play out. Meadows and Jeffrey Clark, they want the case moved to federal court. Their status of federal employees suggests to them at least that they'll be tried federally. Friday at noon is the deadline for all these people to turn themselves in. Trump is expected tomorrow. I think it's, look at us. Remember what the first one, it was like weeks before. Everybody's like, Trump watch, indictment watch. We're also, now it's like 4 of these. We're like, EA doing it again. Okay, fine. Whatever. Call me when there's a jury verdict or something. I'm just not looking forward to going through the next couple of months. I mean, first do you know what the next year of our lives is going to be? It's going to be awful, folks. And not the previous 2 have been beautiful, but you know what I'm saying? Or the previous 10 for that matter. You know what I'm saying? We got an election, so it's just going to be all election BS. Remember, don't forget, look, every election cycle, we're like, I'm so tired of these ads. Well, guess what? They're coming back. You're going to be inundated with political ads from people you don't even know, care about, or under no circumstances do they even represent you, either jurisdictionally or ideologically. So but they're everywhere. It's like, get out of here. That's coming. But on top of that, we're going to have 4 trials concerning a former president. And if we don't get all 4, we're going to get some of them in, and that's going to occupy everything. And it's all going to be this divisive nonsense. I am not looking forward to it. Flipped is trending because apparently one of the co-conspirators, it was announced last night by Jack Smith, one of the co-conspirators in the Mar-a-Lago case, let's keep them separate. One we're talking about where everybody's turning themselves in this week is the Georgia election tampering indictment. That is brought at the state level by prosecutor Fannie Willis in the state of Georgia. Jack Smith is doing the Mar-a-Lago thing, and that's federal because it's Jack Smith. And Jack Smith has also brought the January 6th indictments against Trump. So, and then there's the other one, Stormy Daniels, is the New York case. It's just going to be nothing but nonsense about those 4. They're going to get confused and conflated, and we're not going to know. I'm getting so tired of this. Anyway, one of the guys down there in the Mar-a-Lago case, one of the chief IT guy, he flipped. He was co-indicted. A witness against Donald Trump in the Mar-a-Lago documents case recanted his false testimony and provided new information implicating the former president after dropping a lawyer paid for by Trump's political action committee. So one of those guys, I don't know why I didn't save his name. It's not Nauta. It's not the Nauta guy, right? Nauta's the guy that they really want to flip because Nauta is kind of like Trump's body guy. Like his personal says, like he's always with him. The guy that flipped is the guy that runs all of the IT and does all the work for Mar-a-Lago. The guy that flipped is the guy that supposedly refused to wipe away all the video or did wipe away video. I don't know what he's saying. Again, I'm just a truck driver. I'm just learning this. I'm just regurgitating what other people are saying. A witness against Donald Trump in the Mar-a-Lago document case recanted false testimony and provided new information implicating the former president after dropping a lawyer paid for by Trump's political action committee. This is the thing that's happening here is that a lot of these guys, you're seeing these cases where they're, multiple co-conspirators, right? So all of these co-conspirators at the top of it, we know the titular head is Trump. He's the only one we're interested in. All these other people are just whatever, so much waste. But these people are all being represented by lawyers being paid for by Trump. And one by one, they're starting to leave these lawyers because these lawyers are not giving them the type of advice that would suit their best interest. In other words, keep them out of prison. And so this guy, apparently, he dropped his Trump-funded lawyer, and now he's got a new lawyer, and now he's talking to Jack Smith because whoever he is, he don't want to go to jail. And, it's these minions. These minions are the ones that will go to jail. It's the IT director at Mar-a-Lago who wiped away important federal information. He'll go to jail for 3 years. We'll hear about it once and we'll move on. The guy who told him to do it or the guy that did it or whatever, and then probably not going to go to jail, not that guy. Because that's what happens. We, the people, the great unwashed, we are the disposable ones. We are the Bic lighters of this whole great American experiment. We're the ones that can just be so easily tossed away. I don't like it. You shouldn't either. Stop carrying water for people who are pushing that narrative. Hey, that's kind of political. Let's see here. COVID fraud. How about that? Let's talk about COVID fraud. COVID fraud is trending. The Justice Department said Wednesday that it had filed charges or at least launched investigations related to roughly $8.6 billion in alleged coronavirus aid fraud since the start of the pandemic. Now, we were hearing about all of these, like the other day I did a story about how these bands, were being kind of roped into, they didn't do anything wrong, right? Because they took the money and then they paid their tour support and their touring people. The people that would have been getting money had cancer. It's been allowed to happen. I don't know why I just went heavily south side, but I did. Hope you enjoyed it. That's not this. This is a different thing. This is federal prosecutors said in May that they'd indicted 30 individuals believed to be tied to a Milwaukee street gang, alleging that they had improperly obtained federal benefits for out-of-work Americans to purchase guns, drugs, and jewelry, and to solicit murder for hire. Now, I talked about, was it yesterday or was it during? We were talking about the person that I know. By the way, one of my friends texted me and he's like, man, you shouldn't talk about that. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. I was talking about my friend who is he doesn't have traditional work. He's a good Italian boy. He doesn't have traditional work. And I was telling you about how he happens to, every month, he gets like $400 in food stamps. He has like 3 workman's compensation checks that he gets. He gets welfare. He gets all of this stuff because he is in a business that has for, I don't know, I would guess maybe 50 years been stealing from the welfare system because the welfare system is corrupt. And because our welfare, it's not corrupt, it's stupid. Nobody is paying attention to it. It could easily, welfare fraud could very easily be fixed, but nobody is, they don't care. Why? I don't know. Federal prosecutors said in May that they indicted 30 individuals believed to be tied to a Milwaukee street gang. So here you go. So now you've got organized crime of a different generation. You've got a street gang. Now, when you think of street gangs, you think of the guys on the street corners. No. Big city street gangs have offices. Big city street gangs are dealing arms to like Eastern European nations. Getting arms from big city street gangs sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of illegal drugs. Trust me, they're not so. When you find out that a Milwaukee street gang is involved in, some kind of large-scale white-collar fraud, yeah, that's the evolution of organized crime. All organized crime has moved into some form of white-collar crime. We should be okay with that because it beats blood in the streets. U.S. officials said they also took action in July against a New Jersey man accused of filing more than 1,000 false tax returns, allegedly in a bid to claim roughly $124 million in federal tax credits that were supposed to help small business retain their workers. Let me tell you something reading between the lines. U.S. officials said they also took action in July against a New Jersey man. Now, do you think this is just a guy who, I don't know, maybe works at an office and, in his spare time around his kitchen table, he just decided, hey, I got an idea. I should try and file 1,000 false tax returns. Or do you think this guy's in the Soprano crew? Because that's who this guy is. This guy is not just some lone, this is an organized crime thing. Organized crime got incredibly wealthy off of the COVID stuff. The money that was handed. A lot of people did. But for this particular conversation, we're focusing on organized crime. Hell, Brett Favre did. Brett Favre engaged in organized crime activity, trying to steal money from the COVID funds. Humans. What are you going to do? I don't know. All right, let's keep going. Who cares? Tom Cruise. We got a little bit of an update on the Tom Cruise story. Now, the Tom Cruise story that broke yesterday that we were talking about that we didn't really see confirmed with any legitimate news agencies is that Tom Cruise is leaving Scientology, or at least very seriously considering it. One of the reasons that was put forth as to why this might be is Tom Cruise is now, kind of missing and regretting that he missed out on a whole lot of his daughter Suri Cruise's life. Suri is a beautiful 18-year-old girl going off to college. And I think Tom Cruise is blaming Scientology for their position of toxic people who, he wasn't. But excuse me, that is just typical actor, prima donna, everything is always catered to me nonsense. You, Tom, are responsible for choosing the Church of Scientology over your beautiful little daughter. That's all you. Oh, and now you're mad at Scientology? Be mad at yourself, you dummy. You're the idiot who fell for it. You're the moron who got duped for 40 years, and you're the guy who has absolutely no idea who your daughter's best friend is. That's who you are, Tom Cruise. And don't be angry at Scientology about it, although I applaud you for getting out because, better late than never, I suppose. Some of the reasons for this, and by the way, there are now more people snickering about it and talking about it. Yahoo actually put a story out about it. Yahoo's about as close to a legitimate news because this is gossip. I haven't seen TMZ, though. I've seen none of the big they're probably working on it. They're probably working on some new aspect to it that'll, blow our minds. He has never been to, so one of the reasons that they're saying, and here's some evidence, he hasn't been to the Los Angeles Scientology Center in quite some time, and we're talking years. He hasn't, he's been in England for 2 years. Living in England is where he primarily lives. England, because he's been making Mission Impossible 2 and like some other stuff, and he's working in England creating movies. Mission Impossible 2? Like Mission Impossible 12, right? But he also hasn't been to the Scientology Center in London or any of the ones that are near where he's been filming or on location. So people are like, he doesn't want to be. He's not a Scientologist anymore. It must be about Surrey. Oh, Surrey, you say? Because today there are people, London newspapers, because the tabloids are on this now. Apparently, Tom Cruise is avoiding the London Scientology Center for a very interesting reason. That reason, Robert Pattinson. That's right. Batman. The Batman. Isn't there a distinction made between who plays Batman and who plays the Batman? I believe that's some weird parsing that they're doing now. Robert Pattinson is apparently being lured into Scientology as their new fair-haired boy. And Tom doesn't like it. Woo! Gossip. I know this is total gossip, but it's kind of fun in the middle. We're just talking about some serious stuff. Tom doesn't like it. And apparently Tom is avoiding anything or anywhere that Robert Pattinson might be while he himself is there in London. Pattinson's England. Isn't that interesting? Pattinson's English? Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Tom's jealous. He got old. Tom got old. And now they need a new young. Nobody 18. See, look, here's what Scientology wants. They want like 18-year-olds who are breaking away from their parents and going off to college and doing really stupid things to make the ultimate bad choice, which is join a religion that is silly, right? That's what Scientology is banking on. So how do you get 18, 19, 20-year-olds to do that? Not with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is not worth that anymore. You get a Robert Pattinson. You get the Twilight kid. You get the Batman. That's who you get. So that's what they're thinking. And I think Tom, or apparently Tom, might be a little bit unnerved by this, which would be so Tom Cruise. Because let me tell you something. Tom Cruise is a weirdo. He's a weirdo. First of all actors and actresses are to some degree a weirdo. Some are cool weirdos. Jeff Bridges is a great example of a cool weirdo. They're not all bad, but they are all weird, okay? And whether or not you think they're terrible or not really has to do with your tolerance for weirdosity. Hold on a second. Tom Cruise, if you've ever heard stories about Tom, here's what I'm saying. This is not about Surrey. Tom Cruise, I think, legitimately doesn't even. He's so detached from her. She's like a freaking skin tag to him. She's like, yes, she's a part of me, but it's over there now. Tom Cruise is all about Tom Cruise and has always been all about Tom Cruise, going all the way back to 17-year-old Tom Cruise in Hollywood for the first time. Tom Cruise was different. The reason Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise came up with about 10 other dudes who were in his running circle, and they were all putting movies together, and they all went on to have careers to some degree. None of them like Tom Cruise. I'm talking about your Rob Lowe's, your Patrick Swayze's, your C. Thomas Howells, your Charlie Sheens, your Emilio Estevez's. I'm talking. Just go pull up the cast of The Outsiders. Any of those, Rumblefish. Go pull up those movies. Those were the movies where Tom Cruise came from. And if you've ever heard interviews with the other people who were contemporaries of Tom, who were other 17-year-old young actors, like take a Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe has great stories, and he's a tremendous storyteller. I've heard Rob Lowe on multiple podcasts and in multiple interviews talk about how Tom Cruise was when they were all 17-year-old kids living in a hotel on the set of Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders. Like they were all living they were part. Rob Lowe's like, oh, it was crazy. We were all Tom Cruise didn't hang with any of them. Tom Cruise he had a giant mirror in his room. Tom Cruise used to do nothing at 17 years old except change outfits and look at different poses and all that. The Patrick Swayzes, the Sheens, the Rob Lowe's, they looked at Tom Cruise not as like one of their buddies, but as like, okay, this guy is weird. And it's not sour grapes. Rob Lowe doesn't tell these stories in a way that makes you go, oh, if you're listening to the story, you're getting that Tom Cruise is a weirdo, but it's not sour grapes by Rob Lowe. It's usually tagged with, and that's why Tom Cruise will be remembered for 1,000 years. And like if that's the goal, that's fine. But that's been Tom Cruise from the very beginning. Tom Cruise didn't waste time. Like they would talk about, Rob Lowe would talk about how like he and Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen, they would just go and disappear and go out and get drunk and they were getting high and they were not Tom Cruise. And then there's another story about how when the whole cast of The Outsiders went to do promotions for the film in New York City. So this is like a cast of 10 teenagers, the names that I just mentioned. And when they checked into their hotel, they discovered that Tom Cruise, even though Tom Cruise wasn't anywhere near the best known of these people, Tom Cruise, none of them were really well known, but some of them had some work. Tom Cruise didn't. Tom Cruise had his own suite. Tom Cruise had an agent back then who apparently, even though he was a nobody, treated him at every turn like he was John Wayne. Like he was treated like he's Tom Cruise today, all the way back then. And the other actors were like, who's his agent? His agent is really good. So Tom Cruise has always been a weirdo. And at least to my information, he seems to have always been singularly focused on his career and himself for that matter. Okay, let's talk about this. Here's an interesting thing. Dallas is a boom town, baby. This place that we're living is a boom town. More people are moving to Dallas than anywhere else in the country. It is the big city of choice by people fleeing their roots. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I can tell you as somebody whose roots began somewhere else. I moved down here in 2001. A couple weeks after September 11th is when I moved down here. Then I moved back to Chicago for a couple of years, and then I've been back here again for a couple of years. And I'm gonna be buried in Texas dirt. I can tell you that. I can tell you that because my kid's gonna be buried in Texas dirt. Because my kid is like oh God, it's so funny. People who know me, people who knew me growing up, and all that kind of stuff. If they knew like the kid that I have, I mean, I got like basically one of the Duke boys. It's like my kid is so Texan. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. I love it. It's just his dad is so different. His dad is like just different. His dad is like out of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's his dad. And then he's like out of, I don't know, Friday Night Lights. I don't know. See, just a little bit of a different thing. Anyway, Dallas, a lot of people are moving to Dallas. So be nice. Be nice. They're choosing to be here. Don't be like, you can't be here because you're not from here, which is kind of shit that I incurred. Dallas people are not nice, man. Texans are not nice. They're not nice. A lot of you were wonderful. But people, like, when I first came to town, I mean, it was all, watch, go back to where you're from. It's like, man, their first assumption of me was that I was just some terrible. I'm like, why not be? What happened to Southern hospitality? What happened to that? I did come to find that, but it took a while. It took a while before people were nice. In fact, I'll tell you this. Here's a little behind the scenes history of the Pugs and Kelly show. When Kelly and I moved from Chicago to come here and do our show and immerse ourselves in the community and become a part of this new place and put down roots and live here and all that stuff, all the stuff that you do with good faith at the beginning of a new relationship, we knew that we were going to get crushed. We knew that people were just going to be mean. I'm not going to say crushed because I can take it. I mean, I can take it. Go ahead, say what you want of me. I don't really know you or think much of you, so you can't affect me with your opinion of me. Anyway, Only people I respect can hurt me. How's that? There you go. So when we first came here, I can vividly remember sitting on my couch at my house in Chicago and talking to Sybil. You guys remember Sybil? Sybil was an off the air. Sometimes she was a voice. She was a caller. She started out as a caller who was really good, and then she became an intern. And when she was an intern, she wasn't really on the air. And it was like, man, I kind of miss her as a caller, right? So when we made the switch down here, I told the program director, and I said, look, we need to create a space for Sybil. Sybil has to have a voice. Sybil has to be on this show. I have to hear her voice on this show. And because the reason you put that out first is because back then they were like, why are you letting the producer talk? Well, my calculus was Sybil is so likable and so obviously just a cool ass Dallas girl with a great giggle and a wonderful outlook on life. My calculus back then was people will hear her liking us, and if she likes us, that'll give permission to other people who just instinctively like her because she's good old Texas girl. Just the people who instinctively like her will then go, well, maybe they're okay, and they'll give us a chance. And it freaking worked, and I don't regret it. I mean, why would I regret it? Sybil's a mega talent. I mean, you can put it another way. I mean, there was another way of looking at it. I recognized that she was amazing and she could only make the show better, but there was that aspect of it, that she brought the local credibility to a show of outsiders that was very, very needed. So anyway, a lot of new outsiders are coming down here as Dallas moves. It's a boom town. That's what they're saying. So here, I thought this was interesting. This was a story. This was put out by Stacker. People moving to Dallas are coming from these places the most. So what place? These are the places that people are coming to Dallas from. Now, here's what I don't want to do. Nope. Sorry. Hold on. They give me 50, and I don't want to go through 50, but I thought maybe the top 20 might be interesting. Like because the 50s, like 20 through 50 is like filled with places like Tyler. People are coming from Denison. People are moving to Dallas from Denton. I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about. Those people were moving to Dallas anyway, because Dallas is the big city. When you grow up in rural Texas outside a big city, you know, it's like one day I'm going to the big city, and the big city is Dallas. So like numbers 50 cities, 50 through 20. We're all like, you know, places in driving distance. I'm like, no, I'm looking for, are people moving here from Boston? Are people moving here from Philly? Are people moving here from Tacoma? You know, that's what I'm looking for. So here, let's go through these. No, gosh darn it. Hold on, guys. I'm having a problem with my computer on this. Oh, for fudge's sake. Are you kidding me? Hold on. Yeah, pop-ups are killing me on this thing. All right. Ugh. Okay, hold on. Oh, that's why. I get it. Okay, so here you go. So let's do the top 20. Let's do the top 20 places that people are moving to Dallas, Texas from. America's boomtown. That's what we are. All right, number 20. Coming in at number 20, Denver. 20 is Denver. People are moving to Dallas from Denver. Number 19, Kansas City, Missouri. I get that. I don't get Denver. Denver's pretty gorgeous. I get Kansas City, Missouri, because that city's like, is this it? Where are you keeping the rest of it? Number 18. See, now this is another BS one. Do you know that the number 18 on the list of people moving to Dallas are people from Waco? Waco is like 50 miles from Dallas. That doesn't count. All right, so 17. College Station. See what I mean? This is not real. Of course, people from College Station move to Dallas all the time. We're looking for the new migration. Okay. 16, Killeen, Texas. See, this is okay. There we go. Here's one. Number 15, people are moving to Dallas, Texas from St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri, number 15. Let's see, number 13, Miami. Number 13, people are moving to, I don't know why that would be. I mean, Miami, if you're living in Miami, that's pretty That's pretty nice. I mean, I'm just going like on beauty and all that. Like, I love Dallas. I choose to be here. It's crazy hot. Well, I don't know why. Seriously, when you're sitting here, it's like, oh, it's so hot. I don't know. Miami's kind of beautiful. They got no state taxes there either. Number 12, Atlanta. People are moving from Atlanta to Dallas. Number 11 is Lubbock. Stop it. What do you mean kids coming back from college? What? All right, top 10, San Francisco / Oakland / Berkeley. People are, in other words, moving from the Bay Area. This one I understand. The Bay Area is beautiful, but insanely expensive. So number nine people are moving to Dallas, Texas from Washington, D.C. People are moving from the Washington, D.C. area. Number 8 is Phoenix. Number 7 is Oklahoma City. Number 6, Chicago. That's where I came from. Number 6. Although they parse it, Chicago-Naperville metro area. Naperville is in the Chicago metro. Why is Naperville now claiming to have their own metro area? Let me know when Naperville has their own ABC affiliate. Or, so number 6, Chicago. This is good. This is good for my people. I can start up like Chicago Bear watching groups. This is good. Number 5, New York City. New York City is people are moving from New York City to Dallas, the Dallas boom town. Number 4 is San Antonio. Number 3 is Austin. What? That's not a thing. People move from Austin to Dallas all the time, and then they move back down to Austin. Their city's separated by about, 200 miles? Stop it. Los Angeles is number 2. More people are moving to Dallas, Texas from Los Angeles, and the number 1 city that people are moving to Dallas to also seems kind of BS, but I'll take it as a win. Houston. That's right. People are getting out of that godforsaken swamp butt pit down there, Houston, coming up to the gorgeous frying pan that is North Texas. She's like all gross down there in Houston. I don't like Houston. I don't know if you know this about me. I don't like Houston. Here's what I love. Here are the cities that I love in Texas. I love Dallas. I love Fort Worth. I love Austin. And that's all I've ever been. I don't, Texarkana. There's a nice hotel in Texarkana where I like to stay. But I don't think I like that place because it just doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on. Houston is gross. Although I must admit, I spent a night at a friend's place. Actually, the friend of a friend. I was dating this girl and we went down to Houston. I spent a night at her friend's house in the Sugarland, something like that. I don't know. It was really nice. And I'm like, this doesn't jive with what I think Houston is. This is actually pretty nice here. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about here. And it looks like are we running out of time? No, we're not running out of time. We're good. I'm sorry. Tonight, set those VCRs, as we used to say. Do we still have VCRs? Is that still a thing? Tonight on HBO, a story that we talked about for a couple of weeks as it was unfolding a year or so back. You remember Bishop Sycamore High School? Do you remember Bishop Sycamore? Bishop Sycamore was a high school football team that somehow convinced ESPN to put them on national TV in a game against AMG Academy, which is down there in Florida, which is like, this is one of those fake high schools as well. But whatever, we're going to focus on Bishop Sycamore. So now they got these high schools where if you're just a good athlete, you go there. It's almost like Olympic training centers or things or things they used to have there during Soviet Russia where boy can run. Come, boy, you're with me. And he never sees his family again, but he turns into a super soldier. That kind of thing. We've got those high schools now for football, for basketball. Football bigger in the South, but I know Chicago, there's a couple of these basketball academies that are like cranking out straight to the NBA types, or I guess straight to the D-League now. But you know what I mean? So Bishop Sycamore was a team from Ohio who played the vaunted AMG Academy, which is from down there in Florida, on TV, national televised game on ESPN. Here's the problem. Bishop Sycamore wasn't a real high school. It wasn't a high school at all. It was a made-up name. It was a complete fraud. So tonight on HBO Max, Adam McKay. I don't know if you know who Adam McKay is. Adam McKay is an amazing filmmaker. The Big Short, Adam McKay did a bunch of things. The Big Short is the first one that comes to mind, though. Adam McKay has done a documentary, and it airs on HBO tonight. And I thought we could take a look at it together because I remember covering it. Hold on. There we go. This is the documentary, which airs tonight, debuts tonight on HBO, is called BS High. Remember, it's Bishop Sycamore. So here it is. Here's the official trailer, and I cannot wait to see this tonight. Here we go.
IMG to kick off to Bishop Sycamore.
Do you want my hands like this, like that?
Just be natural. You don't have to try.
Coach Roy Johnson told us they had a number of Division I prospects.
Too high, tip, intercepted. Thanks to the pick six. Into the end zone. He'll waltz in, and that will do it.
Oh, by the way, that's the thing that needs to be mentioned. They also sucked. They were a terrible football team, and they got on national TV and lost like 60-0. It was, anyway.
Do I look like a con artist?
How this happens got a lot of people scratching their head. Bishop Sycamore is not even a real high school.
They did not have teachers.
We really was pretty much on our own.
We didn't have any trainers. People were sharing helmets.
It was disgusting. I was literally sick to my stomach.
I can't believe this happened again.
My philosophy in business is do what the people who have the money do, even if you don't have the money.
Roy will tell you he's a liar.
He knew what to say, how to say it.
He's like, oh man, you gotta let that go. I said, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go of his neck after I grab it.
I think I'm the most honest liar that I know.
How can you coach kids and you know it's not a school?
Roy would tell people, you're gonna be playing in Alabama.
He was just selling me a dream.
Ohio was embarrassed by this. They called the thing explicitly a scam. And then said they couldn't do a damn thing about it.
Bishop Sycamore does not happen if there wasn't an abundance of money in high school sports.
Let's go! Did I break a law? Is it illegal? Am I in jail?
We're on ESPN. Win, lose, or draw, we win.
This is not what we were supposed to create.
How do I tell my mama that coach wants me to do the same stuff that you try to get me away from?
You say you care about it, but did you really?
Can we take a break? That's some bullshit.
1, 2, 3, all right, there you go. BS High tonight on HBO. The story of Bishop Sycamore, which I found to be one of the most interesting stories of 2021. I guess that's when it is. Here's what I'm watching for. This coach, that guy who said things like, hey, we got on ESPN, win or lose, it's win-win. You know, that guy, a couple of things that I've read about him, he is going to be awesome. And by awesome, I mean awful. He apparently is a guy who is uber confident. He's a street hustler. So he's always talking. He's always running his mouth, and he's always trying to control the conversation. And because he does this, he says a lot of things that he shouldn't say. So apparently this guy's going to be fun to watch tonight. This coach Roy something. I don't know, whatever. He's just a con man who just, came up with this idea. Whatever it is, I am fascinated by that tonight on HBO. I'm going to watch it because, as I said, we covered it from top to bottom when it first happened, and now we get to see it all. Now we get to see the faces. You get to hear from the players. You get to hear from the other coaches. You get to hear from, remember, it was supposed to be like a Catholic school, but the kids were like cherry picked from around the country, and then they lived in like a Motel 6. Like there were no dorms. They called them dorms, but it turned out to be like 4 kids to a room in a Motel 6 or something. I don't know. Whatever. I can't wait to see it tonight. Also, another thing that I'm watching I wanted to mention, HBO. And the only reason I was aware that this is on tonight, BS High on HBO Max, is because I got roped into this new documentary series that's on HBO Max called Telemarketers. Have you guys seen this? Are you guys watching this? Are you familiar with this at all? This is I don't know how many parts it is. I think there's only 2 available right now. Maybe there's more. It says, it's very distracting because it says season 1, episode 1, but it's not, there's not going to be a season 2. It's it's like a documentary series. So anyway, It's about telemarketers and how telemarketers lie and cheat and how it's just like this above board in complete sunlight. It's not hiding from anybody. Illegal operation that makes billions and billions of dollars every year, just duping old ladies by pretending to be from like, some fallen veterans organization or the local police fraternal order, that kind of thing. Fast. It's really good. There's some good stuff on HBO Max. Tonight, however, I want to direct your attention to BS High, documentary about Bishop Sycamore. Supersonic travel. This is an interesting story. There's a guy in New York. Or is it in New York? Where is he? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's got a startup. He's just received a government contract. He's building a supersonic commercial plane. Yeah, I know. Or like the Concorde, right? That nobody used because nobody. Anyway, we're getting back into apparently the world of supersonic air travel. The promise with this particular vehicle is New York to Paris in an hour and a half. 90 minutes, New York to Paris. Do you know what's 90 minutes? Chicago to Dallas. My God. Could you imagine could you imagine how Paris tourism would boom if you could get there in an hour and a half? But here's the drawback. 20 passengers. The plane that he's building is a plane for 20 passengers, not 200, not the way. So you know what so a plane being built for 20 passengers that can get you to Paris in an hour and a half is going to be a plane built for 20 billionaires. That's what it is. Everybody who's going to be on that plane is going to be on that plane because they need to get to Paris in a hurry. Not because this is a new convenient way to let everybody go to Paris without that drag of being in the air for 6-7 hours. No. This is going to be about, I need to travel quick. All right, I'll gas up the jet. No, I'm not taking my jet today. Let's take the fast one. And these are the people that will pay for tickets on this plane. Tickets aren't going to be affordable to anybody. This is some nonsense. But check out these numbers. Let's compare it to the Concorde, right? So the Concorde traveled at 1,300 miles per hour. That's 2 times the speed of sound, right? So that's the Concorde, 1,300. New York to Paris on the Concorde took 3 hours. This new plane with the 20 billionaires that are going to be in it, this plane travels 3,800 miles per hour. So, 2.6. So it's almost 3 times as fast as the Concorde. It'll get you to New York, from New York to Paris in an hour and a half. So it's 1,300 versus 3,800. But this one, again, only has 20 seats, and it's going to go to 20 billionaires. And look, honestly, I don't trust this thing. What is this, another one of these submarines? I don't need, this plane is going to have to fly 10,000 times successfully back and forth before I will even ever consider getting into this thing. The Concorde went 1,300 and you're going 3,800. You've never done it before, but you're saying this is what you're going to do. No, thank you. I'll pass. I'll let you guys work the bugs out on this thing before I even consider traveling with you. As we mentioned earlier today, we are under what's known as an Indian moon. That's right. The Indians, they landed on the south pole of the moon. Pretty big deal. Pretty big deal for them. I don't know what they're going to do up there. Open a gas station or something. I don't know. Oh, was that terrible? No. How is that terrible? Explain to me how that's terrible. Is that not an observation that is pretty clear to just about everybody that within the operation of gas stations and convenience stores, it seems apparent that people of Indian heritage have gravitated to that work? How does that make me a racist? How does that make me saying I am better than them because they have cornered the convenience store market? Stop it. It's a funny joke. Because of course they're going to put a convenience store there. That's exactly what they're going to do. Thank you. No, very, 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 very big accomplishment for the Indian people. Remember just a couple of days ago, the Russians crashed their little lunar thing right in there. Russians couldn't do it. Russians, they shit the bed. Not the Indians. The Indians just whoop, whoop, whoop. Here, I think there's video of it. Let me see. Is there a cool video of it? All right, let's see here. Oh, yeah, we do. We got video. All right, so let's watch some video of the Indians putting their thing on the moon. their thing. They're not a person here. This isn't a person. So, you know, it ain't that kind of a deal. Oh, there are actually some interesting things here that we can look at. Where's the landing? Give me the landing. All right, let's see what this is. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, really? You gonna make me sit through this? Stupid ads. All right, here you go. All right, so here it is. This is the Indian lunar lander. That's Modi right there. They got him in a split screen. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's a little authoritarian. What, you know, he doesn't need to be there. He can call there and be like, hey, congratulations. He can make a statement. He doesn't need to be like the face of this. This is a bit authoritarian. I'm just saying. And an authoritarian India is a scary prospect. Anyway, here we go.
We can see the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us. And he is critically looking at the visuals.
That doesn't look real.
जी हाँ,
Wait,
आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम
Hold on, I didn't see it land.
जी हाँ, आप
That's landed? Okay, hold on.
जी
I
हाँ,
don't see it land. I don't see it go down at all. I just see a static
visuals.
Like it looks like it's landed right there, right? It doesn't move. Hold on. Okay, kind of. Yeah, that moved. Is it down? I can't tell.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल.
All right, good for you guys. Let's go explore the moon now. What do you say? Let's see what else. There's some cool pictures here. Here you go. This is these are all of the places. Can I make this bigger? Maybe. Is that better? I don't know if that's better. That's not better. Anyway, these are all the places that we've landed on the moon. We're the blue dots. The Soviets are the red dots. And we're the only people. There ain't no other people been on the moon. China is yellow and India is, look at India. India is down here. This is the hardest spot to get to. The South Pole. They're the first people to do it. They failed in 2019. So congratulations. Congratulations. I love this. I love space accomplishments. And I love when Russia fails. I don't know why. I think it's just because of the way I'm wired. You know, I was wired to believe that there was a space race between two countries, us and Russia. And so I kind of have this, when it comes to space, this like Green Bay Packers kind of view of Russia. They're the Green Bay Packers. I don't want them to ever do good. I just can't stand them. So whatever. Anyhow, one other thing here, I want to play another topic that we've been covering here on the show because this is interesting. This is, I'm going to play a little something for you here. We're going to listen to some music. Why? Because guess what? America's newest massive music star has released his second song. And in 24 hours, it's already got, let's see, 1.4 million views. I don't know how many downloads or anything. Oh, it's number one on Spotify. It's got 1.4 million views on YouTube in the past 19 hours. And it's trending number one. It is a new song by Oliver Anthony. Remember this kid? This kid came out of nowhere. We played a little bit of him talking yesterday. I thought he was a nice kid. He's got a second song that he was released, which... Ollie, baby, what are you doing to me here? Let me play Oliver's. Let me play Oliver's Los Angeles-based agent. Ollie, baby, what are you doing to me here? You can't be releasing songs willy-nilly. We gotta milk the first one a little bit more. I want to see it in TV shows. I want to see it in movies we haven't even charted, baby. We got to get us a record deal, and you're already giving the milk away for free. There's no reason for him to have shotgunned another one, at least not by the ideology utilized in record promotion of the past 60 years. But I know it's different now because everything's viral and things can go. But you don't. People are still, let people enjoy Richmond, north of Richmond, just a little bit longer. Nobody, absolutely nobody, when listening to this Richmond, north of Richmond song over the past week that it's existed, nobody has said, boy, I sure wish he'd release something new. No, because that is the new thing. That is the thing. Let it settle. But no, he's released a second song, and what if people like the other one first? Now there's two. This one may never get heard, and this might be a great song. If you had waited maybe 2-3 weeks to release the second song, then everybody's going to listen to the second song. I know a lot of people are listening to it now. I have concerns. I'm just telling you, I would be managing this young man's career slightly different than the way I've seen it managed over the past week. All right, so here you go. This is a new Oliver Anthony song. What's this one called? Called I Want to Go Home. I really like this guy. This guy has a terrific voice. I mean, just a really wonderful voice. All right, here we go. Let's give this a listen. Let's listen to the new Oliver Anthony song.
If it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward. 'Cause every day living in this new world is one too many days to me. Son, we're on the brink of the next world war, and I don't think nobody's praying no more. And I ain't saying I know it for sure. I'm just down on my knees begging the Lord to take me home. I wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. There's always some kind of bill to pay. People just doing what the rich man say. I wanna go home. Farming the ground, grandson sells it to a man out of town, and 2 weeks later the trees go down. Only got concrete growing around. I wanna go home. I wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. People have really gone and lost their way. They all just do what the TV say. I wanna go home. If it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord, they'd have me strung up in the psych ward.
Okay, there you have it. That's Want to Go Home? Oliver Anthony, his unnecessary immediate follow-up to Richmond, north of Richmond. That's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. And I love, they're trying to make him divisive. He is so non-divisive. That is his whole point. His whole point is everybody, he's trying. Look, here is how I see him as an incredibly important figure right now. He is being embraced by one group of people over another group of people. There's two, the country, it's us and them, right? That's them and us and them. That's what this country is. It's split in half. So one half of the country has completely embraced this guy. And they're listening to his music and all of that. And he's projecting a message that I think is a better message than the message that maybe these people have been getting. And it's coming to them now in this form from something that they won't go, oh, that's just CNN bullshit. Oh, the federal government's corrupt. This is all fake. Do you see what I'm saying? This guy, it's not that Oliver Anthony is a Trojan horse, because it's an incredibly reductive way to look at what he's doing. He's an artist. He is an artist who is using art, who is using beauty, who is using his own creation to sort of become an insurgent force in the way some people in this country might view things. And that's what we need. Guys, what have I been saying for 2 years on this show about us not being non-divisive? Stop it. Stop it with the us. Stop it with hating somebody because your neighbor voted blue and you voted red. Stop it. That's not the problem. The problem is the overlords. And I know that's a funny way of saying it, because of course there's no such thing as overlords, but I use that word to describe a class of people in this country who have for 100 years plus been making sure that we don't like each other. If they can make sure that we all don't like each other, and by we I mean the great unwashed, as I lovingly refer to us all, if they can just keep that a consistent, and who is they? I don't know. That really does depend on who you are. You determine who they are. But here's the one consistent that we need to agree on. Whoever that they are, the other 98% is us. Okay, let's just, whoever, I don't care who you think that they are, lizard people from Mars, inhabiting the body of Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, whatever. You think they're Wall Street bankers? You think that they're European bankers? That's another thing. You think it's what? I don't care. I don't care who you think. But just remember that it's not your neighbor. You don't have to hate your neighbor. You don't have to hate the guy who, works in the cubicle next to you because he's got a Biden sticker or something, whatever. Stop it. That's what they want. And that's what this dude, Oliver Anthony, in both of his songs now is preaching that exact same message, that we the people, we need to stop this. But, that goes against, I think that goes against human instinct. I think that human instinct makes us fearful of outsiders and fearful of things that are different. And, we don't see a lot of billionaires, but what we do see is a lot of middle-class Democrats, or a lot of poor Democrats, or maybe we see a lot of poor conservatives. So those are the people we hate, because there's the difference within what we see as common. We don't see the billionaires. What we do is we see them on TV in their fancy suits talking to our favorite Fox News person, and we think, I like that guy. What he's saying, that appeals to me. We got to stop that. Stop that. Looking at one right now. Looking at some guy, some big talking head on TV. He's got a suit on that probably costs more than I'll earn in tips for this show in 3 months. 3 months. 6 months. Anyway, I like this Oliver Anthony kid. I'm still a little bit worried about what we're going to find on his Twitter, because that's still coming. Oliver Anthony posted in 2007 that he didn't like, you know what I mean? Something like that'll happen. But as of right now, and this is how I like it, because I say this all the time, as of right now, I only know the artist. And the artist has made a beautiful impact over the past week. I mean, look, I'm not like, he's the greatest songwriter. What I'm saying is it's interesting. It's interesting that he's writing these songs with these messages, and they're being embraced by people on one side. So maybe only people on the one side. Why? Because the people on the other side only see a guy who talks like this with a beard, who's out in the middle of the woods, and goes, screw that guy. He was probably a January 6th. Stop it. You're the problem in this scenario, because you got this dude making more of a positive impact on people who you consider to be your enemies than you've been able to do forever. So I guess the truth is the left really just wants to keep fighting. And maybe the right really just wants to keep fighting. But we're going to see, because this guy is like a Trojan horse of peace. I think he is. Or at least, let's put it this way. Oliver Anthony is a Trojan horse of common sense. And he's going to try and connect through art with people who, look, the people on this area of the right and the people in the corresponding area on the left have been immovable objects. Nothing sways the nonsense that they believe. So maybe something like this works. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a try. Why? Because I don't like hating everybody. And I don't hate people. I really don't. You know, it's hard work. It's hard work just going, I don't agree with that at all. Okay. We're still both Cowboy fans, right, though? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's watch Cowboy games. We'll argue about that. Okay, so that's the new Oliver Anthony song. You can find it. It's already has, you already got like 1.5 million. It's true, though. I have a friend in Chicago who posted something on Twitter. X, whatever. And it was just like a takedown of Oliver. It was just like, look at this guy. You know, it was like that kind of thing. I'm like, wow. I go, just stop it. Just listen to it. Don't be distracted. Just because you think that everybody that looks like that has to think a certain way and therefore is your enemy. I think he looks cool. I mean, I think he just looks like a dude, man. You know? He looks like he could be in Mumford and Son, for crying out loud. He doesn't look dangerous. He doesn't look scary. He looks like a hipster. Put that dude in Brooklyn instead of in the middle of a West Virginia forest, and you'll be like, oh, he serves coffee at the finest coffee shop in all of Brooklyn. All right, I think I'm out of stuff. You know what else you do? Let me jump over. You know what I did not look at today? I didn't look at Google Trends at all. So let's do that. Let's spend the next couple of minutes just looking through Google Trends to see if there's anything here that I continue to. There you go. That I can continue to riff on. Also going to jump into the chat room again, like I did yesterday, and just kind of. So I'll be addressing things. Oh, I wanted to wish a happy birthday to Dallas Cowboys legend Rayfield Wright. Rayfield! Oh, my God. One of the best at his positions in, the history of the early NFL, but also a beloved member of the Dallas Cowboy family. Happy birthday, Rayfield Wright. Remember earlier today when I bailed out on a birthday because I said something and it came out weird, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to wish a birthday to this guy now. Not with that word. Well, there you go. Happy birthday, Rayfield Wright, Dallas Cowboys legend. All right, trending now. Let's go to that. Let's see. Give me the real-time search trends. Why not? Give me something else to click. Huh? How about it? What is this about? I've been watching this on CNN, but I haven't been able to pay attention to it. It seems like it's a big story in the last couple of hours, and it's trending number one now. It's Yevgeny Prigozhin, the guy who tried to pull the coup on Putin. He's trending number one. Mercenary chief who staged mutiny in Russia is listed as a passenger on a plane that is. I hate the laugh. But this is a bad guy. This is not a good guy. All right, Russian state media, plane matching profile of Prigozhin's aircraft, seen falling out of the sky with one wing missing. Holy shit, we got video on this. Why didn't you guys tell me? This is an incredible big story. All right, so let's catch up. Remember like last month or something when we all thought, oh, they're coming after Putin because the head of the Wagner Group, which is the special privatized military force there in Russia that had always been under the thumb of Putin. Putin was in control of it. The Wagner Group was pissed and they weren't getting paid and they were marching towards Putin. They were fighting Russian soldiers that were confronting them. And it was, if you remember, a fairly big event. Now, Yevgeny Prigozhin is the guy, the general, who's in charge of the Wagner Group and is the guy who was leading the charge. He just turned around. He got like within 100 miles or whatever of Moscow, and he just turned around. Somebody got into his head, and somebody told him, hey, man, do you really want to do this? And he was like, okay, I guess not. And he pussed out. Now, Yevgeny Prigozhin is a terrible, terrible human being. And I made this clear when we were talking about it. He's no better than Putin. I was just rooting for the unrest. I don't really think that Russia will be easier to deal with if somebody like Yevgeny Prigozhin was in charge over Vladimir Putin. But, unrest. I just wanted some unrest to be going on there. Maybe a revolution would spring up. I don't know. Russia's been known to do that in the past. So Prigozhin just turns around. And then, like a day later, we hear this story about how he's been granted asylum in Belarus. I think it was Belarus. So, because Putin was like, you are a traitor and you will die. And then there was a negotiation. And you remember he was allowed to live, but he had to go move to Belarus, where he would now be under the thumb of Putin's little right-hand guy over there in Belarus. Well, apparently today, his plane crashed. And I'm sure it was just a complete accident. Mercenary chief who staged mutiny in Russia is listed as a passenger on a plane that has crashed, state media says. Oh, my God. All right, let's see if we got a video here. Well, let me see. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the chief of Russian mercenary group Wagner, was on the passenger list of a plane that crashed north of Moscow, this according to Russian state media. The official Russian news agency TASS said the Federal Air Transport Agency had launched an investigation into the crash of an Embraer aircraft, which occurred in the Tver region northeast of Moscow on Wednesday. An investigation has been launched into the crash. Let's see. According to the list of passengers among the... Okay, did you notice what just happened here? There was the exact same 2 sentences of information, worded differently, repeated 3 times in a row. What is going on here? That's bad. That's just a bad writer. That's just a bad writer who has to fill a number of words because they're under deadline. They're probably 19 years old. They're still in school, being paid nothing by CNN. This is a CNN.com posted story. There were 10 people on board, including 3 crew members. I know, guys. You get angry. I get angry at myself, too. I know I get distracted by these things. But, journalism, they used to mean something. There were 10 people on board, including 3 crew members. According to preliminary information, all on board were killed, the agency said, adding that they are conducting search operations. Okay, so this story here, this is, I can't wait. When I sign off, I'm going to go get myself all involved in this story. I'm going to try and find everything. I bet there's some cool, not cool, but some pretty, not cool. I'm sorry. Again, right? See, I'm an idiot with a small vocabulary, so I went with cool to describe the video of a plane falling out of the sky, which... Well, what would the problem? There is some frightening. Yeah. All right, here it is. Yeah, let's watch this video. Here's a video of the plane falling out of the sky. It's Prigozhin's plane. Yevgeny. All right, let me do this small. So I have to assume that the plane, you can see the plume of smoke coming out of the top of the spire. You see this like little, I don't know what it looks like. It looks like a hollow grain silo that doesn't have the walls or anything, right? I mean, I don't know whatever this is, but you see like at the top of it, there's like a white plume of smoke. Here, I'll show you right here. How are you? See this plume of smoke right here, coming out right here. Okay, so this is the plane that's falling. Okay, so now here's the plane, seems to be falling. Now, it must have been obviously having some problems in order for this person filming to, one, notice, recognize that it isn't a normal problem, and then get his phone out and start recording. So I'm wondering what was happening. Here, we'll start this again. Okay. Is that like a bomb? Like, what happened to this thing? Like, did a wing come up? Like, why did that? All right, there we go. Let's go back. Let's see. Nope. Stop it, sharing. See if there's any other video. Plane was shot bombed by air defenses, or 7 people, including the Wagner. Okay, there's a whole lot of people coming out with information. Prigozhin's business jet was shot down by Russian Air Force air defenses over. But do we know that yet? I mean, I don't doubt it, but do we know that yet? All right, let's look at this. Okay, so this seems to be a bunch of different pictures. All right, so here's some pictures from the scene as well as more video of the plane falling. right, this well, there's a looks like a plane engine on fire in a field. That's a great photo. Give him a. All right, here we go. There's a video of the plane actually falling. Wait a second. Wait a second. What is this? Here, can we make this bigger? Does that work? Did that make it any bigger? Maybe. All right. This is the plane that's falling. This is the. What is this? What's going on here? Is this another plane? Was it shot down? Is this even video from today's event? Or no, there's the plane. Okay. Maybe that wasn't another plane. Oh my God. See, at this moment, as the plane is hurtling towards Earth, he knew he should never have turned back from Moscow. Should have just gone for it, dude. You pussed out. Let this be a lesson for the next person to look at that. Holy cow. All right, so yeah.
Пиздец, это беспилотник. Сбили, бабахнуло в 2 раза, взорвалось, падает. Ты посмотри, падает.
Such a beautiful language. Oh, oh!
Блядь. Где, блядь, бабахнет? Куда упал? Вон тут куски летят.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That was the noise. All right, let's watch this one more time. We'll watch the whole thing fall. All right. All right, right about now, he's going, maybe I shouldn't have turned back. Maybe I should have punched Putin right in the face. Maybe I shouldn't have believed him when he said, it'll be fine. Because this ain't fine. All right, now he's lost in the clouds.
Пиздец, это беспилотник. Сбили, бабахнуло в 2 раза, взорвалось, падает. Ты посмотри, падает.
Just killed a bunch of people. They were getting him. Oh, that one right there. That look at that. That you really see it. It's like nose first, right? That thing is going nose first right into the ground. That is right.
Где, блядь, бабахнет?
All right. What else do we got? All right, so here's the plane now. That's the plane in the field. That's where it landed. And that's what it looked like a couple hours ago. There you have it. All right. See if we can find anything more on about this, about Prigozhin. Yeah, Byron's like, that pilot, he was struggling, man. I don't know what was going on, but it looked like that plane was, like he was, I got the impression as well that pilot was probably trying like really hard. Wow. Okay. So that was interesting right here at the end of the show. Is there anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Nah, not really. Halle Berry has agreed to pay her ex $8,000 a month. All right. That's 10. What's that? What is that? Do the math. So that's 80, 96. So Halle Berry's ex-husband's going to make $100,000 a year just being Halle Berry's ex-husband. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, you would think more, right? Like, don't you think like more? But that's not bad. That's not bad. You could, if you don't want to do anything, you could just be a guy who does nothing and make $100,000 a year. You have to live responsible. You can't have a mansion. You can have a condo or something or a townhouse. That'd be fine. If you're making $100,000 a month forever because you were married to Halle Berry, that's a good trade-off. So I'm going to marry Halle Berry, who is like really hot, but an actress. Here, this is always, she's an actress, so she's like incredibly difficult to deal with at all times. So you marry Halle Berry. You get all of the good things that go with being married to Halle Berry. And there's a lot of good things. And no, not just sex. Yes, she's beautiful, but I mean, there's a lot of good things. And then when that gets old, you get single. You get single and you get a job for the rest of your life that pays you $100,000 a year. Okay, I'm all right with that. I'm just trying to see. Nah, I got nothing else. Okay, apparently breaking news. Rudy Giuliani, as falsely reported by yours truly about an hour ago, Rudy Giuliani has now arrived at Fulton County Jail to... No, I don't think I said it. I think I said it right. I said earlier he was meeting with the prosecutors, with the attorney, and now he's arrived at the jail, different buildings. So that's what's happening right now. Giuliani is arriving at jail. Here we go. Hold on, gang. Hold on, guys. Gotta do a thing. There you go. I have got my... Too loud. Thank you for joining us today on the High Noon Report. I do this every Monday through Friday. High noon, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hot topics, current events, whatever it is the people are buzzing about, I'll talk about it. I'll give it to you. I'll run it all down. By the end of whatever I am done with my rant of consciousness, you will have at least to some degree an understanding of what this world is trying to force down our throats today. How's everybody in the chat room? Yeah, Barney. Barney Styles. That's a great line. Barney Styles. Summon up Prigozhin's predicament. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. Should never have turned around. I was upset when he turned around. I was like, what? What do you mean he turned around? Come on, man. You know, me sitting here in Texas, no investment whatsoever in it. Just like, come on, man. Put your life on the line. Put your soldier's life on the line. I don't know. He turned around. Brokered a deal with Putin. And apparently he was convinced that, it was cool. So everything's cool, lad. Yeah, man, everything's cool. Everything's cool, man. You go to Belarus, you have fun. You have good time in Belarus. Everything's cool. And now he's dead. His plane crashed. Well. All right. By the way, he's going to hell. Don't even know. Yevgeny Prigozhin, he's going to hell. That was a bad guy. That was not a good human being. But, neither is Putin in my estimation. So, world is filled. This is what we say. The world is filled with bad guys, and they die every day, and we shouldn't care. The only reason we care about the Prigozhin one is because it was so recently in the news about what he tried to do, and there's cool video. Other than that, nope. All right, guys, I love you. Tip the show if you can. We sure would appreciate that. I'm going to take a couple-hour break, and then we're going to rally back and do the Radio Misfits show tonight at 9 o'clock. Myself, E. E may not be with us because if you were listening last night, you heard that E is having some crazy issues with like leaking and flooding in his place, and it's coming through the walls. So the studio that he does the show from today may be offline, as they say. So he may not be with us, but he also might. All right, bye, everybody. Love you. Tip the show if you can.